Today, we're jumping into a really big shift in the world of data. We're going to talk about the rise of NoSQL databases and, more importantly, why they even had to be invented in the first place.
You know, for the longest time, the relational database, the RDBMS, was the king of the castle. It was the rock-solid foundation for pretty much everything: banking systems, corporate records, you name it. It was structured, it was reliable, and everybody knew how to use it.
But then, the world changed. The internet blew up, mobile apps became a thing, big data happened, and all of this created a totally new set of problems. Which brings us to the big question: what exactly happened that pushed this trusted, standard model right to its breaking point? Let's get into it.
So before we dig into the problems, you've got to remember just how dominant this relational model was. It wasn't just an option. It was the default, the absolute go-to for almost any application you could think of.
Okay, so the first major wall that these databases hit was just sheer size. The amount of data that modern apps started to generate was something nobody had really planned for.
And you might be wondering, so what? Aren't databases supposed to hold a ton of information? How did this explosion of data actually become a problem?
Well, the answer is kind of shockingly simple. The massive volume of user data, all the logs, the media from websites and apps, it all grew so big, so fast, that it literally just overwhelmed what a traditional single-server database could handle.
So, if you can't fit everything in one box, you need to grow, right? But how you grow? Well, that became the next huge challenge: scalability. And we're not just talking about nice, predictable growth here. We're talking about an app that could go viral overnight, going from 1,000 users to 10 million almost instantly. How on earth is any system supposed to handle that kind of completely unknown demand? Now this is where you see the huge difference in thinking. Traditional databases scaled vertically. Think of it like trying to make one car faster by giving it a bigger, more powerful engine. You just buy a bigger, way more expensive server. But modern apps needed to scale horizontally. That's like adding more cars to a fleet. You just spread the work across lots of cheaper, standard servers. And that is the secret to handling that massive, unpredictable growth.
All right, let's move on to the next big hurdle. Because with users all over the world, your application could never, ever go down for maintenance. It had to be always on.
And this created a whole new headache. How are you supposed to give users in Tokyo and New York the exact same fast, reliable experience without ever turning the thing off?
And this really just became the new normal, right? The expectation was 24/7 uptime, period. And you needed to have data physically located all around the globe to be close to your users. These just weren't things that traditional centralized databases were ever really designed to do easily.
And finally, we get to a set of demands that came straight from the people using the apps and the businesses that were building them.
So if we look past just the technical stuff, what were the practical, real-world pressures that were really forcing a change? It really boiled down to two things. First, the user experience. You expect to be able to post a photo or save a document from your phone, your laptop, wherever, and have it just work instantly. And second, money. The whole business model of the internet is about driving down costs, and having to buy these massive, expensive, specialized servers just wasn't going to cut it financially.
So, when you put all of these different pressures together, a really clear picture starts to form. And it's not that one system was good and the other was bad. It was about having the right tool for the job.
And let's be super clear about this. Relational databases are amazing. They are incredible pieces of technology that still power really critical parts of our world today. They were not broken.
It was the job itself that was completely different. The needs of a global, web-scale, always-on application were just a world away from the business apps that relational databases were first built for. So, to quickly recap, there were 4 huge challenges pushing the old model to its limits: just too much data, the need to scale out instead of up, the demand for constant global uptime, and of course, the combined pressure from user expectations and business costs.
And this really says it all, doesn't it? All these challenges have given birth to the NoSQL databases. It wasn't just an upgrade, it was a revolution, born completely out of necessity.
So we've walked through all the problems that demanded a brand new solution. But that just leaves us with an even bigger question, right? Now that we get the why, what in the world are these NoSQL databases, and how do they manage to solve all these problems that the old guard couldn't?
If this explainer helped you connect the dots on why NoSQL even exists, do me a favor and hit that like button, share it with someone else who might find it interesting, and definitely subscribe for more explainers like this one.
Thanks for tuning in.